Good afternoon, folks. Aaron Dorr here with Iowa gun owners. And guys, in the wake of Joe Biden's executive order announcement last week, we're being hammered with calls and emails and Facebook notes from you guys asking us, what's next? What are we going to do to defeat Joe Biden's attack on our gun rights? And a lot of you were also saying, hey, we've been engaged in the fight for constitutional carry for such a long time. Now that that's behind us, what's the next step for gun owners in Iowa? So we're going to address that in today's broadcast. I want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. I want to make sure that my audio is okay. I'm checking a couple things here. Just a second. If you guys can hear me okay, let me know. If you guys can hear the audio okay, I need to make sure and double check on that. There is no more watch parties on Facebook, so no need to wait while I host a watch party. That's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing because that has helped our videos be seen by more gun owners. So do us a favor and share this on your page when this broadcast is over so gun owners know what's going on. So again, the question we're getting over and over right now from gun owners is, what is the next step? We've just passed constitutional carry. That's great, but deep down, I think we all know the real threat right now is in Washington, D.C. It's Joe Biden, whether it's the bills he's pushing in Congress, H.R. 8, S-736, or all the rest of them, or perhaps more directly executive action. What do we do about that? What can be done? And I'm just going to tell you right now, the answer to this issue, the answer is simply the Second Amendment Preservation Act. And we haven't discussed this very much, so we're going to break this down today and answer your questions. If you have any questions about this legislation, we call it SAPA for short, post them in the comment section. I will answer them today. Should have no problem doing all of this at the same time. So if you have any questions, post them here and I'll answer them. The Second Amendment Preservation Act, again, we call it SAPA for short. What this says in a nutshell is that the state of Iowa is constitutionally empowered to pass laws for Iowans. Not a big shocker, right? But it also goes on to say that so where state law and federal law intersect, where they disagree, then the state lawmakers have the right to tell an all-powerful federal government to go to hell. Pardon my language. And that's how it works. That's how it works. Where state law and federal law contradict, state law, states' rights always wins that fight. And the thing is, this is not just me saying this. It's not just a hopes and dreams situation. The Supreme Court, since the 1800s, has held every single time has held that when the state and federal governments collide, the state wins that fight. There are cases going back to the 1800s. There are cases going back to 3 years ago, 2018. Every time the court has been asked to rule on this, both the left and right-leaning justices come back and say the state has the right to do what is in the best interest of their own people. And so we know for a fact that we have the constitutional right to do this. We know for a fact that the courts have upheld this, but at a more just everyday practical level, I'll give you two examples of this in real time. Marijuana and immigration. Very simple. Marijuana and immigration. So look at the marijuana laws. Federal law, at least still today, makes the possession of marijuana a crime. It's a federal crime. We all know that. However, more and more states across the country have made marijuana a legal thing to possess. And so that's a very clear situation where federal law says no, state law says yes, and guess what? People in states that legalize marijuana can use marijuana with no fear of being prosecuted. Now, can a federal law enforcement agency come into Colorado, for example, and bust people for possession of marijuana? In theory, yeah, they could. Federal law still makes it a crime. So if they want to send, U.S. Marshals or the FBI, someone's door and arrest them in Boulder, Colorado for having marijuana, they could, in theory, do that. But here's the reality. It's never going to happen. That's the whole point. Without local authorities enforcing their edicts, federal laws, for the most part, will simply not go enforced. That's the whole idea behind SEPA. So if Joe Biden passes a ban on the AR-15 or 30-round magazines, or he passes a national red flag gun seizure law, or anything else, those laws and executive actions would be null and void in Iowa, because they're only going to be able to be enforced by Iowa peace officers, and SEPA law will tell them to only enforce state law. I'm going to post this in the comment section. And that is how the rubber meets the road. State troopers, state sheriff's deputies, local city officers would only be authorized to enforce state law when it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories. That's it. And so they could not enforce federal law, even if they wanted to. So marijuana is one example, and immigration is the other. We all watched President Trump for 4 years try to deport violent, illegal aliens from the country. Deport them back to where they came from because they're violent criminals. And we all watched liberal cities all across America, all over the country, say, no, here in Chicago or here in New York City or here in California, illegal criminal aliens have sanctuary. There is no enforcement of this federal stuff in our state or in our city, for example. And it's the exact same thing then here. And so while the left is losing their freaking minds right now, angry at the idea of SEPA defanging federal gun control, they have an obvious problem they can't ignore. They did this on immigration for 4 years under Trump, and they did this, are doing this on the marijuana issues all across the country for the last 10 or 12 years or 15 years. And so it's obvious the states have the legal, constitutional, moral authority to do this, and it's obvious the Supreme Court has upheld this as well. Over and over and over. Go to our website. You can read tons of articles about this, about all of the cases the Supreme Court has had on this issue and clarified. Let me kill my phone here 1 second once. I'm on Facebook Live. I'll give you a call back. Thanks a lot. So the court has done this over and over. We know they can do it. The only question that remains then is, will the Iowa legislature take care of this? Will they do their job? The bill's been filed. We had that done back in February, House File 518. It's in the House. It's live. It's ready to go. The only question is, will the House take action on this? And that's why I'm asking you guys to take action and send your email to your state rep right now and tell them you want action on House File 518 this session. Hardy Taylor says, I see there's trolls on here. Point them out, Hardy. I'll beat them. I want to see them. Hardy, I'll be in Georgia before too long, my friend, so don't worry about that. Pat says, I never knew any of this. This is the good news, Pat. This is the protection that we can enact from Joe Biden's tyranny. Our founding fathers knew this. They knew that the real risk to our liberties was an overarching and out of control federal government. They knew that. That's why the states have always had the sovereign power to hold back and to protect the residents of their states from federal tyranny. And we know this is going to happen. It's happened over and over and over. And what's more is that Supreme Court cases as recently as 2018 has not only said the states have the right to tell the feds to go pound sand, it's also said the state has the right to do that, and the feds cannot deny federal money to the states. We hear this question over and over and over and over and over, right? That, well, if we anger Joe Biden, oh my gosh, he's going to take away all of our federal funding. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. The Supreme Court has ruled the federal government may not use funding as a beating tool to deny the states their right to do what's in the best interest of their citizens. So the question is only, does our legislature have the political gumption to take care of this issue? That's the question. That's the question. Michael Priest asks a very good question. So the bill passed the funnels, and what he means by that is, have we passed the funnel deadlines? There is committee funnel deadlines that the legislature uses to winnow down the field on what bills are going to be up for consideration. Michael, the awesome news here on this is that we don't have to go through funnel deadlines because the legislature has the right under Joint Rule 20 and House and Senate rules to enact any legislation they want up into the very last moments of session under a variety of means, specifically referred to as leadership bills. So Majority Leader Winchell or Speaker Grassley could immediately, as in today, put this bill up for consideration through the process using leadership bills. They could bypass the committees, bypass the funnels, bypass the calendar, and move this bill forward anytime they want to. I know this for a fact because, well, number one, it's Joint Rule 20. And number two, way back in 2010, this was how House and Senate Democrats put shall issue legislation into law here in Iowa. I was in the Capitol that day. It was late March, almost at the end of session that year. And I heard the House Democrats, heard Kevin McCarthy, at that time he was the House Democratic Majority Leader, move and introduce shall issue law way past deadlines, way past the funnels, past the committee process. It was go time, and he said, well, we're going to do it. And then Mike Gronstel did the exact same thing over in the Senate. So House and Senate Democrats in Iowa, I'll give the credit where it's due, they passed pro-gun bills using the leadership technique. The Republicans sure could too if they want to. Now, some people have said, well, haven't we got enough? And the answer to that question is no, never. We waited for way too long on the legislature to do their job and pass constitutional carry law. We finally have that done. We have a majority. We have control of the legislature. We all know what's coming from the federal government. Now is the time to press our advantage as far and as hard and as fast as we can. And so again, talk to your state reps, talk to them immediately by email or call them or whatever and say, I want to see action. I want to see action on House File 518. JR says, we just passed this bill in Montana, HB 258. It's now on the governor's desk. This also passed in Arkansas yesterday. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, that Arizona passed a version of this last week. So it's moving in red states across the country. We can do it here. Now, here's what makes HF 518 so freaking good, because lots of states, lots of red states, they will try to pass tokens. They will try to pass little gestures that sound really good, but when you actually read the legislation, you'll find out that this is a feel-good, that there's no teeth in this. Our bill is not that way. We have a very keen appreciation for how anti-gun elements of Iowa's municipal governments can be. Frank County, great example, in Des Moines. The guy is a gun grabber from way back in the day. This was the guy who, what was that? I think it was 2 years ago, 2019, tried to make it a crime for us to have magazines over 10 rounds capacity in city limits. He's been a founding member of Mayors Against Guns, Michael Bloomberg's old organization, going back forever. And so mayors like Frank County are very likely to say, yeah, I see this, SEPA law. I see this idea that the state says that Des Moines cops can only enforce state law, excuse me, but I don't give a crap. And so he's going to talk to Police Chief Wingert, who also is anti-gun, and he's going to say, you know what, just go out there and enforce federal gun control. So if Joe Biden takes executive actions and says, you know what, these AR-15 pistol braces are against the law, the mayor, in theory, could tell the police chief, hey, you know what, go out there and grab them. Use force. I don't care. Screw state law. We're going to go with federal executive orders as our authority. That's why we have drafted this legislation to put real teeth into it. So if you're a gun owner and your police chief says, you know what, screw state law, we're going to enforce federal gun control. You, as the individual gun owner, would be able to civilly sue that department on your own behalf. The old ways, the old idea way back in the day when this issue first came up 13 years ago when Obama was first in office was that, well, the AG's office will intervene on behalf of the individual gun owner against the all-powerful federal government. We know that won't work here in Iowa, of course, because of who AG Miller is. It's not just that, though. Even in red states, to trust a elected attorney general to stand in the gap for you as a gun owner against the federal government, it's just not going to happen. Not very often, and we're not going to trust it to happen regardless. And so our bill would say that you can do this on your own. You can sue these municipalities, these departments on your own. There's no need to have an AG sign off on this. You can do so by yourself. And so it's got real teeth, and that's why the bills that we see in other states, some of them are great, some are not great, and the bills with no teeth are they're just gestures. There's no actual oomph behind them, and that's why they're a bad thing. And so what we need, again, is for gun owners to take action. We always make it easy for you. We always do the hard work for you with the pre-written emails. Take a moment, hit the link, send your email to your state rep and say, we want to see action on House File 518, and we want to see it happen this session. And if and when they write you back, hey, here's how you know they're just trying to snowball you. They write you back and they say, oh, let me pick on somebody here, James Harp. Oh, James, dude, you know, man, I'm 100% pro-gun. I support SEPA. I don't care for Joe Biden's gun control. I voted for constitutional carry a couple weeks ago. I'm 100% good to go, but we can't do it now because we're past the deadlines. Just write it back and say, no, you can do leadership bills, House or Joint Rule 20. You can do leadership bills, and I want you, as my state rep, to go to your leadership and say, we want to see you, us, our caucus leaders, file in advance House File 518 via a leadership bill this session, because we can't wait until January when we come back in a session and wait and see what's happened between mid-April and January on how much damage Joe Biden has done to our Second Amendment freedoms. We can't wait that long. You're in session now. You have the power now. You are impaneled as our legislature to protect us against a federal, overreaching, tyrannical government. We have that right now. We want you to deal with that right now. That's your message. That's how you answer those questions about them being beyond any committee windows right now. Dan Gifford says, hey, we just passed constitutional carry in Texas yesterday in the House. Kind of embarrassing that Iowa beat us to it. Well, Dan, I know a lot about the fight for constitutional carry in Texas. I'll just tell you that IGO members are more ferocious, and have been much more ferocious for a much longer time. So we're glad to have this fight behind us, and we're happy you guys are making progress on this too. Brian says, thanks for your hard work. How does Harrison County vote? Well, Brian, funny you mentioned that. Harrison County is the home of Iowa House Majority Leader Matt Winchell. Matt Winchell, then, is one of the individuals who could invoke Joint Rule 20 and advance SEPA legislation via a leadership bill. He is the majority leader, after all. So when you talk with him, that's your response. Okay, you're pro-gun. That's great. But now I need you to utilize the rules that your office has to deal with this session. So many comments here. We all 50 states on board, says Ian. Well, yeah, we'll start with the red states. But yeah, all states need to be on board on this. Big stuff here. Arizona supports IGO, SEPA legislation, constitutional carry. We got it all. Yeah, James, we're jealous. What can I say? We like your SEPA law. Email sent, says Irina. Thank you very much, Irina. Keep it up, guys. Send your emails. Dan says, does Iowa have castle doctrine law? Does Iowa have castle? Yes, we have castle. We have stand your ground law. We have all that stuff on the books in the state of Iowa. I got to answer one quick message here. Never mind, I can push that off for a few minutes. I don't believe anyone in government except for Marjorie Taylor Greene, says Hardy Taylor. There's not a lot of folks that have earned our trust. I'll just say that to be charitable, and that's especially the case at the federal level. That's 100% the case there. Michael Priest says, thanks a million for the example of a legislator's weaseling. Well, Michael, what can I say? They got lots of weasels in the legislature, and we know all their excuses and all the things they're going to say. So I want you guys to know in advance how to spot a non-answer. And when they say, oh, I'm pro-gun, but, that's a problem. That's a problem. When they say, I support the Second Amendment, but, that's a problem. When they say, well, we can't do it now because, that's a problem. They have the ability to do this right now. Again, it's Joint Rule 20. And there's all kinds of bills. Ways and Means bills are immune from the deadline. Leadership bills are immune from the deadline. There's 3 or 4 other types of bills that are immune from the deadline. And so they can do it anytime they want. That is the question. Will they take action? You know, again, the temptation for some, I guess, might be, well, we've taken care of the constitutional amendment to keep and bear arms this session and constitutional carry. I mean, do we have to keep pushing? Look, I'm sorry, but, you know, all of this could count for nothing if Joe Biden has his way. These people don't care about you. They hate you. They hate gun owners. They hate the Second Amendment. They hate our freedoms. They hate anybody who fights to protect them. And if they have their way, they'll make every single red state in the country, they'll constrict our freedom, constrict our gun rights till we have nothing left. And we will mirror blue states and Venezuela when we're all said and done if we don't stop federal tyranny now with the Second Amendment Preservation Act. That is what we need. That is why we need it. That is why we need it. Dave says, what is their deadline? Why is there a deadline? Well, Dave, it's the committee process is utilized ordinarily by leadership to make sure that their priority bills move and the non-priority bills die. That's how it works. So that's how they use it, and that's why there's rules that we can use to get around them. So, folks, again, SAPA legislation would nullify federal gun control. It would do so by ordering state peace officers to only enforce state law when it comes to guns, ammo, and accessories. The court has upheld, for hundreds of years, the court has upheld the state's right to supersede federal laws when state and federal laws contradict. We've seen it happen on marijuana. We've seen it happen when it comes to immigration. The only question now is, will the Iowa legislature do this for gun owners when it comes to firearms, ammunition, and accessories? That is the bill. House File 518. Send your pre-written email immediately. We'll keep you guys informed. Share our videos, folks, as far and wide as you can. If you're watching on YouTube, you can forward this via email. If you're watching on social media, you can share it in your Facebook page. However you're watching this, share this video. Hit the link below this video. And take action, guys. We'll keep you informed. This is what we can do to protect our gun rights, guys. This is our chance. It's time. It has to happen very quick, though. Session's getting close to ending, so take action now. We'll keep you guys informed. Take care.